What we're looking at here is the lazy man's way of trimming the grass under the fence, which is to just pour poison down and soak the grass dead instead of actually trimming it, though. This pouring glyphosate, known as Roundup, and other toxins is very wicked to do. Okay, it's a very wicked practice, and I'm going to explain why in this video. I also want to add that it's completely unnecessary. You know, anytime we as a people are doing something very evil, we should strongly think about, not doing it. Even if it's a benefit, we should try to, as a people, steer clear of doing evil things. But if we as a people do something evil and it's completely unnecessary, then there's no question that it should just be banned. Now, here's a picture of a fence that didn't have the grass soaked down with toxic waste. And you know what? Nobody died. The fence is good enough. And in fact, it's even better because fences are ugly and now it just appears like a hedge with all the beautiful vines and things growing on it. Yeah, the metal still works. It can still hold back animals as it intended. Now, what's the problem with this glyphosate when people pour this stuff? Okay, well, the honeybees are going extinct because the flowers that later grow where the glyphosate was poured now has this toxic waste in its pollen. Okay, where do you think that goes? This poses a huge problem. There's seeds that grow there, okay, because the glyphosate eventually wears off. By wearing off, I mean it goes into your water supply, and flowers and things and plants grow in that spot where it was poured again, eventually, and then it still has some of the stuff in it, and then birds are eating those seeds. Now it's getting into the food, into the food chain. There's cows I see that go to the edge of the fence sometimes, and they eat those weeds because the grass is longer there. They stick their head through the fence and eat. They eat those weeds. Now the glyphosate's in the milk. All this because some farmer didn't want to look at grass under his fence. Come on. If it's that important, use a weed whacker. You know what? It's not important, though. It doesn't matter if grass grows there. What's important is to keep the earth clean from toxic chemicals for the future generations. This is a selfish culture of people we've got living in the world these days. Okay? Because they don't care about the future people. They don't care about the children who have to grow up in that world. Unfortunately, this foolishness doesn't just stop with some of the farmers' fences, though. And apparently the county government uses herbicides as an alternative to trimming around their stop signs and their other signs. And that tree that they poisoned is down there, and they also did that sign over there. Let me just show you what they're doing. I stopped the car to show you. They're spraying poison around signs to protect their signs. Here's another one. They're spraying poison here to protect their sign from the grass. They even pour it around their stormwater pipes, it looks like. Look at all these pictures I've got of the dead areas around the pipes. Again, if grass is so damaging, there's no excuse for not just using a weed whacker. This isn't 100 years ago when they weren't invented yet. There's no excuse for this. This gets toxic waste little by little into our water, causing cancer and other problems. Okay, this gets into the soil, then it goes down, it gets into the well water, it gets into the runoff water, it gets into the food chain, and little by little we're just getting more and more of this stuff into the world. The government should be setting an example for people, especially here in this nature area of Florida where there's springs and whatnot. But instead they're the worst contributor, and I can say that because of what they allow the power companies to do. And I'll show you the footage of that later on, though. The government should be stopping what the power companies are doing. But in the meantime, let's just take a look at Highway 27. I'm not going to get into the whole electric power company thing at this moment. I made another whole video about that previously. Now, in Marion County, the edge of Highway 27, the median It looks perfectly normal, right? Okay. But this same highway in Levy County, now the edge of the median appears to have been soaked with herbicide. What was the reason for this? Is there a good reason for this? Well, the cars travel just as well in Marion County where it wasn't poured. What, the cars won't drive on the highway properly in Levy County? If that's not done? No, again, this is completely unnecessary polluting by the government. And they get away with this because, you know what? No one is complaining about this except for me. One guy. Christian Preaching YouTube channel. That's it. Are you sick and tired of mowing the hill? Hey, I've got a great idea. Just pour poison all over it. Just soak poison into the hill, and then you won't have to ride your lawnmower on 45-degree angle anymore. That's one way to do it. Most of the herbicides sprayed in this country, usually it's glyphosate, as I mentioned, and it's made by a company called Monsanto. So why is this such a big deal? Why am I complaining about this? After all, if so many people are using it, it must be good, right? Wrong. And this stuff was never used years ago before it was invented. And then later they came out with weed whackers, and people were using them. Now people just use poison. The new way is not the good way. And years ago, people just... I'm talking about my grandparents' generation and people before them. You know, they got that down there and they pulled the weeds by hand instead of being lazy. What does the Bible say about being lazy?